Here's okay. I'm honestly gonna be sitting. This is really gonna be me pointing out why E. I honestly have been having this feeling for a long time, but I really do need to bring this up. And I implore you to listen to the whole video because it's not going to be that long. Heck, I already recorded one video which will not be going up of this. And I kind of got my points out, and I know what are the major points that I want to talk about. The first point is people who hate Color Splash. Now I know what you're thinking. Please, just let me say what I gotta say. I just want to say that if you're sitting here and going, not just Color Splash, but also you're sitting here, Mother's Basement, Smith and Arlo, both of you, two people I have seen and have a decent respect for your opinions, but really, you're sitting here saying that those two, because Mother's Basement said Skyward Sword was not a good Zelda game, and that and Arlo said that Color Splash and Sticker Star are not good Paper Mario games because they don't follow what the original did. That they must follow the feel, what the overall feel and message and point of the original game was. Well, technically, by that logic, that way of thinking, Super Mario 64 is a garbage Mario game. By that thinking, Jak 2 and Jak 3 are garbage Jak and Daxter games. And the only good Jak and Daxter game to be released afterwards, after the original Jak game, was to some degree Daxter. But no, let's not just stop there. By that logic, Super Smash Bros. Melee is the worst Smash Bros. Game ever. And why is that? How does that translate? Or here's another thing. By that same token, every Mario Kart game, Mario Kart 64, or Double Dash, Super Circuit on the Game Boy, or Advance, DS, Wii, 8, and 7, all suck because Now, what's going on? How does this make any sense? Well, it's quite simple actually. Here's another one. Technically, it would mean Xenoblade Chronicles X is the worst Xenoblade game. Is bad because it's not like the original. Now here, allow me to explain why each of these games do exactly what you get mad at games like Skyward Sword and Color Splash for, and maybe you might be a little more open-minded. You said Color Splash and Skyward Sword go against the first game. Skyward Sword is very linear, and boom, you do this, and this, and there's very little stuff to do off the beaten path. And that the original was all about making as much of the events in the game as optional as possible. Correct? Well, by that, now, So technically, by that parameter, Skyward Sword sucks, right? Well, let's let's move back to heck. Let's move back to Color Splash. Color Splash. You say it had it having no RPG elements, none of all the no original characters. There's with specific names or specific appearances, different. None of that stuff. By saying all of this, right? So by that logic, Color Splash because or it has no level system, and no original character, very few original characters. It means those games. It means it sucks, right? Now let's take a look at something like Super Mario because I know what you because it's an easier comparison first or very hard. I want to build up to this one to the other ones that'll easily prove my point just by saying those. So Super Mario, how does 64 not follow the original, right? That's probably what's going through your mind. But here, it doesn't follow the original because the original was very linear. You get from point A to point B. That's how you complete that level. It doesn't matter how many coins you get, doesn't matter what you get it or collect. You just gotta get from point A to point B. Then you clear that level. Then you move on, do that over and over and over until you get to the final level and then beat Bowser. Whereas Super Mario 64 has it so that when you are dropped into a level, the level has several different stars for you to collect. And your objective is to find those several different stars. Heck, the original and easy Bomb Bomb Battlefield is the one level you have to start off with, right? But you do not have to beat the big Bomb Bomb to unlock more levels, levels, and progress further. You can skip that boss entirely. Just get one star. Just get the one star, then go and do all the water levels if you want, or do all the fire and desert level. You see, do Womp's Fortress if you want it. You don't have to ever touch King Bomb Bomb. And that's unlike the original. The original made you experience everything in a linear fashion. And now if you're going to say, well, this is a good thing, this is good change, this is progressing towards it being more open-ended, then don't lie to us when you're saying and Skyward Sword is quote-unquote bad because it's not open-ended like the original Legend of Zelda. Uh, uh, and it's going against what made the series enjoyable to begin with. Don't give us that bullcrap and just say you want games to all be more open-ended. Otherwise, you'd be criticizing Super Mario 64 because by your original complaint, your complaint was not that, oh, we want games to be more open-ended in general. Your complaint was that Zelda was found has a series that was supposed to be more open-ended. So when it makes a more linear game, that's why that game is a bad Zelda game. That was your complaint. You literally said that just because it's more linear, and the game first game was designed to not be linear, or since it goes against what the first game did, it is not a good Zelda game. So by that logic, 64, since it went against in the first Mario game, since it went against it, it is not a good Mario game. It's not. By your logic. Here, I'll go to another example. This one's a little more tricky. But well, you know what? I won't use this one yet. I'll use the Super Mario Kart because that one's a little easier to understand. Originally, Super Mario Kart was more of a technical arcade racer, similar. The one on the SNES was a more technical arcade racer, sir, with little to no, with most of your success being determined by skill, like any other racer, sir. Whereas 64 onward, the racing became more arcadey, meaning racing based on item bonuses, obstacles, not just a simple, it's a simple track with only basic hills and dirt and blah 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 as your obstacles or so. It became more than that. It became, you have to watch out for enemies throwing kooky crazy items at you. You have to watch out for enemies literally giant boulders coming down towards you. Make sure you choose the right path to get into the finish line after in the Yoshi Valley stage. All of this technically makes every other Mario Kart, because it's not a technical racing game, as technical as the original, and more reliant on skill and relies more on items, because the original relied very little on items and was more skill based. The newer ones are more skill and item based put together. And by that same logic, you see, or let's move on to Jak and Daxter. The original was a generic platformer, 3D platformer similar to what Mario 64 does. Pretty much exactly like that. But here's the thing. Then later on it became very linear. You had to do specific missions to progress the story further. Whereas in the original, just like how in Super Mario 64, or you could pick it didn't matter what precursor spheres in the original Jak game, Jak and Daxter Precursor Legacy, it didn't matter what spheres you got. As you could have just, if you met the total, you didn't have to do. Yeah, sometimes there was a required mission, but very rarely was there a required mission. Actually, no, I don't think. Yeah, there wasn't a required mission from what I've played so far. Every time there's a requirement, it's just on the number of power cells you've collected. And that's it. Whereas Jak 2 not only turned him from not being mute, added in a voice acting and made him sound like an angry, angsty teen. It also made it more GTA platform hybrid. And I love that. My friend Darth Hooley loves that, but by your logic, Basement Dweller, by your logic, Arlo, that game sucks. Jak 2 sucks. And it's kind of unfair. You're trying to set rules, trying to set parameters. And if Arlo's probably tries to say that he's in the majority when it comes with Paper Mario Color Splash, technically, heck, I'll even show it with Skyward Sword too. I mean, so Mother's Basement, both of these being YouTubers, by the way. Here, Legend. Now, Basement's mother said, not Basement Dweller, Basement's mother's basement. Forget how to pronounce that name. I will link it into the bottom. Basically said Zelda fans and didn't like it, and that Skyward Sword was a garbage game. Well, if we go by Metacritic, which is the closest thing to a polling system, let's look at what the critics and the fans said. The fans gave it an 8 out of 10. The critics gave it a 93 out of 100, or a 9.3 out of 10. Now, let's take a look at what we got with the critics and fans individually. 0% of the critics hated Skyward Sword. 0% of them. Only 3 of them thought it was just, okay. And 78 of them thought it was amazing. Now, looking at fans, 93 of them hated Skyward Sword. 82 of them just thought it was okay. And 592 of them thought it was amazing. And I know what and even if we look at combine the people who don't like the game at all and think it's a garbage game, with the people who just thought it was okay, even though the people who just thought it would be okay are probably gonna side with the people who thought it was amazing over the people who thought it was a piece of garbage. I'm pretty sure that the people who gave it, who are the 82 who gave a mixed review, are probably going to agree more with or at least side more and say, yeah, these guys, I'll side with these guys over you. They're probably going to side with the positive people because they at least thought it had some enjoyable moments and didn't think it was a complete bore. They at least had some enjoyment with it. So, but even if we combine those two unlike those groups of the people who just thought it was okay with the people who outright hated it, they still equal nowhere near the people who loved Skyward Sword. They're not even equal to half. Now that's sad. And when people will go out of their, when people will miss this. Or here's another thing. Let's take a look at top 10 Zelda game. Top 10 list.com. Because here's the thing, it's not just top 10 Zelda games. Top 10. Here, this is the top 10. This is a top 10 site, meaning voting on meaning anyone can vote for it as long as they log in and sign up for an account. So again, it's like a poll. We've seen Metacritic and this are more accurate because anyone can do it with. Not everyone does YouTube videos, and those people are the loudest and most and are usually the loudest and minority people in the world. Their views are usually the minority. They become disillusioned with how many people agree with them because their comment section is an echo chamber. Because people search because just like how YouTube presents the content that you want to see, basically keeping you in an echo chamber, they're gonna get people who are looking for people to criticize Skyward Sword. Mother's Basement's gonna get people who already hated Skyward Sword to find his video and then type down a comment agreeing with him. He's probably gonna get more of those people, not the people who actually are looking for some reinforcement that their positive opinion is legit, or so not those people. So he won't meet opposition. He won't meet them and get into a discussion, get to argue back and forth, and see why this view of, if it's not like the first game, it's complete garbage, is a bad mentality to have. But let's take a look. This top 10 list says Ocarina of Time is quote-unquote the best Zelda game, with Twilight Princess in second place, third place going to Wind Waker, fourth place going to Majora's Mask, and fifth place going to Skyward Sword. Or above Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Minish Cap, Link Between Worlds, and even The Legend of Zelda, which barely cracks the top 10. And so, please, people, stop. Just stop assuming. Here, by these two, if you want to prove me wrong and say that more people do hate Skyward Sword, start a poll. Please, some kind of legitimate poll, maybe on Twitter or something, and ask people. Do they hate Skyward Sword, or do they love it? Ask people that. Don't just sit here and be content with people. Don't just sit here and be content with, all the people in my comment section or on my friend list agree with me, so I'm right. And even if you were in the majority, you wouldn't be in the right. You would just be in the majority. Meaning Nintendo should be catering to you because there are more people who think like you. But technically, right now, in looking at the majority, people liked Skyward Sword, and it was the majority rules on that one. But let's take a look at Paper Mario. we're going to take a look at sticker stars. Ours, Metacritic. Okay, looking at what the critics gave it, they gave it a 75, and basically a 75 out of 100, or 7.5 out of 10. And fans gave it a 5.9 out of 10. Now, let's take a look. Down here we have 50% and 45. A majority of the critics who reviewed the game, which was 45 of them, were absolutely in love with Sticker Star. 28 and 23 of them just thought it was okay. And one of them outright hated Sticker Star. Now, looking at the fans, we have 40 of the fans loving the game and 46 of the fans hating the game. But that just leaves the mixed people. We have 37 of them thinking the game was okay. What does that mean? Well, we have two sides. One side hated it. Aside from those extra 6 people on the negative side, it's a pretty close divide between people who love Sticker Star and people who hated Sticker Star. But then there was also a good amount of people who, while they didn't love it, they didn't hate it either. And I know what you're thinking. What's a mixed review mean? Or what is a mixed review compared to a bad review? Here, let's take a look. Sonic 2006, folks. This is what a bad score looks like. A 4.4 out of 10. And that is a bad score. Take a look. Heck, I'll even let you see the coloration in it. 0 is a bad score. A 1 out of 10 is a bad score. A 2 out of 10 is a bad score. A 3 out of 10 is a bad score. And a 4 out of 10 is a bad score. So those 5 ratings are what would be considered horrible. Well, now what would be considered mixed? Mixed. A 5 out of 10 would be considered mixed. A 6 out of 10 would be considered mixed. And a 7 out of 10 would be considered mixed, meaning you don't actually hate the game. Then an 8 out of 10 is a good game. 9 out of 10, good game. And then 10 out of 10 is a good game. So as you can see, there are 5 ratings that allow a game to be considered garbage, like what Arlo is saying. But yet, there are only 3 different levels of quote-unquote good games. You either absolutely thought it was nearly perfect, you thought it was amazing but had some flaws, and then you thought it had a good amount of flaws, but the pros severely outweighed the cons. An 8 out of 10, basically. Then, a 7 out of 10, you thought it It wasn't horrible, but it had some flaws that severely hindered the experience, and thought that that these things need to be fixed. At least for you. A 6 out of 10 means not bad. Would mean not great, but not like unplayable. Actually pretty enjoyable at times. Now, 5 out of 10 is where it's just barely not like it's barely playable. Well, but when it's playable and you have a good moment, it's pretty good, but there's just too many problems to overlook. Look, Mighty Number 9. These, on the other hand, are when a game is garbage and is considered Sonic 06 bad and should never be repeated again by quote unquote fans. Now let's take a look at some other games. Names. Watch Dogs. The PS4 version. 63. It got a mixed score too. Oh, but a lot more people. But unlike Sticker Star, there were more positives than negatives. But there were also more mixed reviews. Those are the negatives as well. If I were to consider the people who enjoyed the game, or at least thought the game didn't hate the game, I would be looking at both the 3 yellow and the 3 green combined. And I know that's kind of, you're thinking, oh, that's unfair. Or call those 3 in the middle what they are. They're neutral. No, they aren't. They think the game isn't horrible, but they didn't just outright love it. And take a look. Look, you have 5 bad ratings. There's way more room for a game to be considered garbage than for a game to be considered good. So it's kind of a balance. But here, let's take a look at what a 6 out of 10 and review looks like. Watch Dogs has a great premise and a decent game overall, but the game hits a wall where it becomes a chore to play. I got up to 70% completion before I hit this wall. Basically, from what that little excerpt was, they said it's a decent game overall. Decent. Not bad. Decent. And this is a 6 out of 10. End score, folks. 5. This game is way overhyped. Don't believe the demos or even the trailers. They are lies. Ubisoft developers are lying to your face. This game is mediocre at best. It wants to emulate ambitious worlds like GTA or Saints Row, but so conservative it chooses to be Assassin's Creed instead. World without any soul. You see, this is... But let's take a look. But now let's take a look at what Top 10 has to say about the Paper Mario series. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, best game. Second best game, Super Paper Mario. Third best game, Paper Mario. And most people, and look at the positives for Paper Mario Color Splash. We can't let our hopes. It already looks better than Sticker Star. Alright, looks to fix the quote unquote problems people want to complain about. But again, please, I implore you, stop with this bullcrap of assuming Here, I got several links down below. I'm going to link these to you people. Of the review of the Nostalgia Critic, where he talked. It's not a review, but an editorial where he talks about movie reviewers. And I know what you're thinking. Why would I link? How does that relate to this? Well, it talks about movie reviewers, but the same principle also applies to gamers. And I'm going to link a video from a good friend of mine, David Riot. Or no, not David Riot. Sorry, not him. Sorry. Dark Pixels Productions, where he talked about Xenoblade. I'm going to link those two videos, because, well, Dark Pixels Gaming, he uploaded a video to get a response out of people. Like, he uploaded a video that overblew his complaints about Xenoblade on purpose to elicit responses so he could start a discussion. Then he uploaded another video explaining and talking about how we all have our own form of confirmation bias, which is something I'm trying to show to people like Arlo and Mother's Basement, and how you guys overlook other games that are more important to you, or are trying to. How you overlook how other games are doing the exact same thing that you say Zelda and Paper Mario shouldn't do, but you only focus on those games. But you only focus on the other two games because you want it to be a certain way. You're being hypocritical. You want those two games to stay open-ended, and you want everything else to become more open-ended. But then what about the people who do want some linearity? Some, not all. And you're just going to tell them, I know exactly what Arlo's going to say. If you wanted a linear Mario RPG, go play Mario and Luigi on the 3DS. Well, I could also say that if you wanted a Mario RPG in general, well, go that is more quote unquote complex. Heck, even some reviewers who praise Thousand Year Door state that it is very, very linear. Yeah. So, what I'm trying to get at is, people, calm down. This also applies to I didn't bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up right here at the end. And two things. Luncheon about Metroid Prime Federation Force. And also, so I'm going to clarify how Melee, by using the logic of, oh, it's not like the first game, so it sucks, mentality, how it applies to Melee. First off, Lynch and Metroid Prime Federation Force getting mad at a spin-off coming out. I now more recently have seen Crash come out and do, oh, it's been a long time since a Crash game. Actually 6 years since the last one, if you count Crash Team Racing, which we don't count because it's a racing spin-off of 8 years if you're talking about a main Crash game, but 6 years if you're just talking about a Crash game in general. So having a spin-off appearance of him and Skylanders and a remake of his first 3 games is kind of disappointing. Just like how it being 6 years since the last last year it was 5 years since the last Metroid game, and even 7 years if you just said 5 years since the last good Metroid game, quote unquote. With Prime 3. But that's the thing. If we start eviscerating, if you eviscerate Metroid Prime Federation Force or eviscerate stuff without, based on not its own merits, just by how long it's been since we got an original Star Fox game, then they won't ever try that again. It's even when it's the right time for a spinoff. When we're gonna want be asking, hey, why doesn't Metroid get any spinoffs? Well, because you lambasted them whenever they got one. That wasn't at the right time, though. You didn't say that. You just said it looks like crap. It looks like blah. It looks like blah. That's all you said. And you didn't specify. You honestly didn't. So, please, for people who are doing stuff like that, specifying why this is quote unquote bad. Not just say, it's stupid, or say other reasons why it's stupid. Like the fact that it looks garbage, quote unquote, when... And here's another one. This is the last thing I'm going to say on this subject. Melee. Melee doesn't follow the same formula of the original. The original being, it was more item happy and random button inputs rather than, you could wave dash. You could do all these technical move combinations. Some Call Me Johnny specifically said it was unlike any fighter he had ever played. There were very few button combos. There were very few combination attacks. And you could do a lot of cool stuff just by randomly mashing buttons. It was a game where veteran fighters who have great and because it was slow enough, veteran fighters who have keen reflexes wouldn't be able to go so fast that casual players wouldn't be able to keep up and have any fun. Casuals would have enough, and because of the fact that it had some platforming elements in there, casuals had a way to get away and formulate a strategy and plan of attack. But Melee, they scrunch everything up. There's stages that are very small. The only one I can think of is Hyrule Temple, that being that big, and everything's faster, more technical. Not, you have to know how to do this and this and this, or you're gonna get punished. Technically, it is a bad Smash Brothers game, just because it doesn't follow Sakurai's original dream for it. Think on that. Think, if you're gonna lie to yourself and say, the reason I hate this game is because it doesn't follow what the first game did, then also do that and call out every other series that you quote unquote like when it does something like that. If not, please shut up.